objective, we'll talk about least common denominator. But let's first talk about why such a thing is needed. Let's suppose we are adding these two fractions. Remember, for addition or subtraction of fractions, you need to immediately look at the denominators, and here is a case where the denominators are not the same. Since they're not the same, we need a process by which we can write each of these fractions as an equivalent fraction, but with the same denominator. And the denominator we'll use is what we call the least common denominator. Let's look at that definition. The least common denominator, LCD, of a list of fractions is the smallest positive number divisible by all the denominators in the list. Sometimes the least common denominator is also called the least common multiple of the denominators. So we want to find the least common denominator of these two denominators. To do so, there are a few methods we can use. Let's look at method 1, and then we'll try method 2 in a moment. Here is method 1, finding the LCD of a list of fractions using multiples of the largest number. Step 1, write the multiples of the largest denominator, starting with that number itself until a multiple common to all denominators in the list is found. Step 2, the multiple found in step 1 is the LCD. So we want to find the LCD of these fractions or denominators. We're going to concentrate on the denominators. We'll use method 1, which means we take the larger of the two, 15, and we continue writing multiples of 15 until the other denominator, in this case 9, divides into it evenly. In other words, does 9 divide into 15 evenly? The answer is no. So let's look at the next multiple, which is 2 times 15, which is 30. Does 9 divide evenly into 30? The answer is no. So that's 1 times 15, 2 times 15, 3 times 15 is 45. Does 9 divide evenly into 45? The answer is yes. So the least common denominator is 45. What does that mean? It means 45 is the smallest number that not only 15 divides into evenly, but also 9 divides into evenly. And we'll talk about how we'll use that least common denominator later, but let's practice finding least common denominators by looking at another method. This is method 2, finding the LCD of a list of denominators using prime factorization. Step 1, write the prime factorization of each denominator. Step 2, for each different prime factor in step 1, circle the greatest number of times that factor occurs in any one factorization. And then step 3, the LCD, is the product of the circled factors. So this time we want to find the LCD, and we have 3 fractions. Now you can use method 1. You can take the largest denominator and start looking at multiples here, but sometimes I find that more difficult than this method 2. So I'm going to use method 2 here. Notice here's 3, which is a prime number. There is the prime factorization of 21, and there is the prime factorization of 56. So I've already accomplished step 1. Step 2, we circle the unique prime factors the greatest number of times that it occurs in any one factorization. For example, here I have the factor 3. It occurs once here, none here. So what's the greatest number of times it occurs? Once. You can either circle it here or here. It makes no difference, but just circle it once. What else do I have as far as unique factors? Well, looking down here, we took care of the 3. I have a factor of 7. Doesn't occur here. It occurs once here. It occurs once here. What's the greatest number of times it occurs in any one factorization? Just once. So circle it here or here. It makes no difference. Now we also have the factor of 2. It doesn't occur here, it doesn't occur here, and we have 3 factors of 2 here. What's the greatest number of times that the factor 2 appears in any one factorization? Well, it occurs 3 times here, so I'll circle that. Now, the LCD is the product of all the circled factors. So the LCD is, in any order, 3 times 7 times 2 times 2 times 2. So let's see what that is. 3 times 7 is 21, and that's 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So 21 times 8, that's 168. That is, believe it or not, the smallest number that 56 divides into, and 21 divides into, and 3 divides into. So there's a couple of methods for finding the LCD.